Hello, everyone. It's Dr. G here. Today I'm going to spend a few minutes discussing the refresher for the semester project of your research report of your findings. And I want to make sure that you have a good understanding of the expectations for the report. With any research report, you have to understand who your target audience is. And in your case, it is the decision maker at the business for which you're doing the research for. So you want to be able to communicate at the level of that person. So remember that most managers are not extensively trained in researchers. So the goal of the way you write the information is to help them make better marketing decisions. And even though near perfect research can get lost in a poorly written report, presenting the information can do the same thing. When you are writing the report, I want you to think about three really important details. The first is, how complete is it? Does the report provide all of the information that the reader needs to have in a language for which they understand? Is it accurate? Meaning, does what you're presenting go back to the research questions that you identified in the beginning? Is it logical? Is it correct? And then finally, is it clear? Are you phrasing the information in a way that resonates and is understandable from the audience? I also want you to understand that for this particular paper, you will need to write it in APA format. All right, so I've outlined here the key elements for the report. Now, in any research report, we always follow the same standard criteria in the way it's written. And so you will have the contents of the report, and you will have the appendix. So you're going to have a formal title page. Make sure you have the name of the report, whatever you're going to call that, and your names of each of the participants who contributed to the paper, and then finally the date. Now, the second thing you're going to do is you're going to create a table of contents, and that is because these reports tend to be a little bit long. And if the person wants to go directly to a particular portion, they're going to be able to do that very quickly. An executive summary. Now, the executive summary, I'll talk about this in a minute, but it's really important that you have the key informations in a bulleted list for that person. Literature review, the methodology, the findings and conclusions, and the limitations. So we'll talk about those. I also want to note that you're going to have in your appendix a number of different things, such as your survey instrument, the final one that you built in Qualtrics. Download that, and then that will be an appendix. Your code book that you did and the code book exercise. If you have any technical things that you need to explain, I'm not sure you would, but if you did, you would put them there. Uh, any exhibits you might have that you didn't put in the actual body of the paper. I also want you to add the data file and any references. An executive summary is often the most important part of the report, and this is because sometimes managers or your target audience, it's the only thing that they will read. And it's also a way for them to see the highlights of the report that they might want to choose to go into the report itself and learn a little bit more. So, what you need to think about is most people communicate in describing the results of a report in about 60 seconds or less. So you'll want to do a background. Generally, your reports, your executive summary is just a bulleted list of highlights, the background, why you chose the topic, what's your hypothesis, results and conclusion, and then only put a few of the key recommendations and the key results in there. So, again, it's just a great way to summarize it in one page for your audience so that they can then, if they want to dig a little deeper, they can move further into the report. Okay, so the literature review and the research design is that overarching question or problem that you want to have analyzed. When you did your exploratory project, you did, I believe I had you do 3 or 4 sources that align to the theories that you were investigating related to your problem or question. Now, for the final report, you need to have at least 8 to 10 sources, and they should be within the report as well as cited in AP8 format in the references. And so I want you to also like describe the types of research you conducted in this. So we did an exploratory study. Remember, some of you did focus groups, some of you scraped the web, some of you did some interviews. Talk about that, and then talk about your quantitative survey that you did. The methodology section is really about how you went about collecting your data. So, for example, if you did interviews for your exploratory, you're going to talk a little bit about how many people, what was the demographics of those people, how long was how long did it take, how did you get your sample. For your survey, you're going to talk about, the when, the who, the where, the how, what was your target population, and how many people did you try to get for the survey. Talk about your sample size needed for statistical confidence and how many did you actually get. The data collection methods, as I mentioned, you did a survey, which is quantitative, and exploratory was at the beginning, and then any specific analysis techniques that you used. Continuing along with the methodology, I want you to provide a copy of your survey instrument. You can do this in the reference section or just attach it when you're attaching all your files. And this is going to help me see exactly, and your reader, exactly which questions you asked. You're going to describe your recruitment procedures. How did you go about collecting the information? Did you send it out on social media or send it through your classes, etc.? What distribution tactics did you use to recruit the audience? Was it social media? Was it email? Did you have a QR code? And then describe the number of responses you received. Now, remember, for the minimum number of responses is 30. That's really not enough for quantitative analysis, but I do know that it may be hard for you to get your target audience. So the more you can get, the better, but we definitely want you to get at least 30. For the analysis section, you're going to write a little bit of a summary. Then I want you to discuss what you analyzed. And then your descriptive statistics, such as looking at some of the means, the averages, some charts and graphs, and other things that you have, some visuals from Qualtrics. If you did, I know that all of you did a qualitative question. And what you can do is a word cloud in Qualtrics to look at the types of answers you got for those open-ended questions. For the hardcore data analysis, you're going to do one correlation. So remember that you did some correlations in your activities that we just finished. So I want you to have one correlation table. You could do the heat map. You can go right to that code that you did for the other assignments and simply add in your new data file in the Python code and the variables that you want to switch out. I want to know if talk a little bit about some of the major interesting findings. Are they positive? Are they negative? Is it a strong correlation? Were there no correlations, etc.? You also are required to do one regression model, and this can be linear or logistic depending on if you're doing a scale for your dependent variable, that would be linear. If you're doing a yes or no, or did they buy or did not they buy, that will be logistic. And you can go back to the code for in Canvas and what you did for your activities, and just simply again put in your data file and play with those variables that you want to test. And again, if you have any challenge with this, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help you with those. So for the descriptive statistics, you can pull those right out of Qualtrics, and I have some videos to help show you how to do that. So when you're looking at your results, you're going to see that they have automatically some different tables. And within Qualtrics, you can just, with the click of the button, you can change it from a bar chart to a pie chart. But I want to see some of these from your survey results, how you take a graphic and explain it within your paper. And for your open-ended question or your qualitative, this is a word cloud that you can use right in Qualtrics. It will populate for you based on the most frequently answered words, and it's a great way for you to sort of at a glance see what the sentiment is or what people are thinking. And then again, you're going to paste that in there and write about it. So, as always, I want you to feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you might have. I do have a few examples within Canvas of research reports that were done in previous semesters, so you can see sort of how other students have approached it.